Heavenly Father, we come before you this afternoon knowing that we have things that sometimes hurt us deeply. And one of those is when we have a loved one that's ill. So I would like to dedicate and ask you to heal the daughter of Pete Benavides, that's taken back by his daughter Veronica being down with cancer. So Lord, in the name of Jesus, I ask for a complete healing of that cancer. Heavenly Father, we're also delighted to have the rains coming down on us gently. We thank you, Lord, for this summer, for the non-hurricane so far. And we thank you, Lord, for the rain that is more than enough to catch us up to what is needed to fill our watersheds and our personal needs. Lord, we also give you thanks for the completion and renovation of the famous Dancy building. Famous because it's Cameron County's original seat of county government. So Lord, we just ask you to continue to give the guidance and direction and wisdom from that building that you've done from this building for all of the employees of Cameron County. We thank you, Lord, also for the beautiful weather that we're enjoying. It's crisp in the evenings and beautiful sunshine in the daytime. So Lord, just continue to give us favor here in Cameron County, for which we're grateful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have public comments from Susan Snarajek or something like that. And after her, Rob Nixon, after him, Mary Helen Flores, and after him, her, Robert Pernin.
First of all, I'm sorry to hear very much about Commissioner Benavides' daughter. I don't know if he heard me, but I'm sorry to hear about your daughter.
Thank you. Thank you very
Sincerely.
much.
And I'd like to address the comments made by the county attorney, Mr. Burst, last week concerning Isla Blanca Park. He said that we should be thanking the court for the changes in the lease that were made. The only way that we would be thanking anyone is if we were the ones building a casino, a hotel, timeshares, or condominiums in Isla Blanca Park. We are not. This court has now agreed to allow, at the court's invitation, anytime, now, next week, next month, or after November 7th, casinos, timeshares, hotels, condominiums in the park, and has agreed in writing.
You are absolutely wrong on that, ma'am. I don't know where in the heck y'all are coming from on that. Look, I run this meeting, not you, okay? You're
That's fine.
absolutely wrong on that, and that's really ridiculous. And everybody knows it's ridiculous, except for some reason, you folks are not willing to accept that. For whatever agenda you have, that's absurd. Oh, you
It's
cannot
okay.
read if that's the case.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. I really am. This is outrageous. The park, Mr. Burr said the park is not just for us, but for everyone. And do you even know who we are? We are 300,000 plus people who visit Isla Blanca Park each year. We're here today and all this time for the families who come to Isla Blanca Park to celebrate birthdays, special occasions, barbecues, have fish fries, and welcome home our sons and daughters from the war. It's a park, and that's what parks are for. And that's what all of this property was deeded to us, the people, for. We are the people. Judge Hinojosa, you called us a proponent of the public, and that's exactly who we are and who we represent. I don't know why we even have to be here to defend our rights to a property that was given to us, the people, to use as a park and for park purposes only. The judge said that we are making this a political election issue. I say, fine, make it an issue. Let's bring this out in the open for everyone to see. My father was a World War II veteran. He was also captured and spent 2 years as a prisoner of war like so many other men, by Nazi Germany. Growing up in Weslaco, we used to ask him who he was voting for. He would not tell us. He said that men fought and died for our right to vote for whomever we saw fit, for whatever reason, in secret, and no one was allowed to challenge us on that fact. That is what I knew to be true then, and it's what I know to be true today. So go ahead and put this out in the political world because no one can challenge my right or anyone else's right as individuals to vote or speak out as we see fit or question our integrity to do so. That is what a democracy is all about. Thank you.
Whoever's next.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Judge. I'm Rob Nixon. I'm with Friends of Isla Blanca. Obviously, we're a little upset. We believe we have some pretty valid reasons for being so. But first, we would like to clear some things up. Since the last Commissioners' Court meeting, things have been said and accusations made in newspapers. Judge Hinojosa has claimed that we have a political agenda. He's also insinuated that Friends of Isla Blanca is just a political arm for his opponent in the upcoming election. This is simply not true and never has been. Our only agenda has been to keep the development of condominiums, a marina, and possible casino out of Isla Blanca Park. We have never endorsed or promoted a candidate at any time. In fact, the commissioners and judge have mistakenly labeled us as a group of surfers who are out to deny money to other county parks that Isla Blanca will stay the way it is. That could not be further from the truth. While there are surfers among us, we are also a group of business owners, blue and white collar workers, teachers, mothers, fathers, grandparents, Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, hippies, rednecks, Anglos, Hispanics, and most importantly, South Texans that love Isla Blanca Park and truly believe we are protecting it from a short-sighted solution for a long-term problem. Now, to be fair, I myself have not been very respectful of the judge in the past week. I wrote a letter that was published in which I called him a manipulating, self-serving county judge. I admit that I crossed the line, and I hope the judge will accept my sincere apology for that. I think the last thing that Friends of Isla Blanca and the commissioners and judge want right now is to have insults and accusations flying around in the newspapers. It is not positive and definitely not productive. First and foremost, we believe that we've been misled by Judge Hinojosa and Commissioner Tamayo. During the July 13th meeting in which the motion to amend a contract was passed, certain statements were made that led us to believe that Isla Blanca would be left entirely out of the amended lease. Commissioner Tamayo's motion that carried was stated, quote, "I would like to make a motion to authorize council to draw a document releasing the property granted by Navigation District and to leave the property in the lease north of Navigation District. We are going to exclude Isla Blanca area from the lease," unquote. According to Matt Lynch of the Valley Morning Star, Judge Hinojosa said, quote, "What we're doing by saying this is there will not be a casino in Isla Blanca Park as long as one of us is sitting up here. As long as I am county judge, there will not be a casino on Isla Blanca Park," unquote. As a layperson, would you not interpret that to mean that Isla Blanca Park will not even be mentioned in the new amended lease? Can you blame us for thinking that we were told a completely different thing than what was to become the final signed result? It may be true that this Commissioner's Court cannot tell a future Commissioner's Court how to act on Isla Blanca Park, and it may also be true that some or all the members of this court will not be around if and when there is a casino in Isla Blanca. But why give a 50 to 100-year exclusive right to one developer to determine that? We believe that you have essentially said that Laguna Madre Enhancement Group's vision of the park is the only acceptable one. If this is indeed the case, then in essence you are telling a future Commissioner's Court how to handle Isla Blanca Park. The fact of the matter is this: the amended lease has now signed a signed binding contract between the county and Laguna Madre Enhancement Group, and unfortunately these questions cannot be raised beforehand. However, it is possible to have these questions answered now, and that is what we're here for. We love Isla Blanca Park, and we'll do anything to protect it. On behalf of Friends of Isla Blanca, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Helen Flores, and I come to you today to try to convey to you what Isla Blanca Park means to me. This park is part of my family culture, and it has been my whole life. It is the place we gather together in the summertime for some roughing it in the RV or a tent. We barbecue, we fish, ride bikes, take walks on the jetties. We enjoy watching the jackrabbits running around. We see the dolphins swim in the panorama of the channel and the bay. The sun rises over the Gulf waves and the sunsets on the bay are inspirational. The fact that one can witness either occasion from the southern tip is priceless. Isla Blanca Park has been and continues to be sacred green space. I will be here to do all I can to keep it this way, especially with my dad only 2 years from retirement. In conclusion, I would like to remind all of you that you are servants of the public, so please take Isla Blanca Park completely out of the leasing process. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Piernan. I live in Laguna Vista, Texas. It is only because of your omissions and misrepresentations that I must again come before you and state from document 12896, Brownsville Navigation District, for the sum of $17,684.87, remised, released, and quitclaimed onto Cameron County, assigned all of its rights, title, interest, claim, and demand, except as stated below, the document stated on page 4. This conveyance is further made subject to the following provisions, conditions, restrictions, and reservations. This conveyance is made to grantee for the use and benefit of the Board of Park Commissioners of Cameron County, Texas, and its successors, and the land above described and conveyed hereby shall be used for public park purposes only and for no other purposes. I believe this is a legally binding document. I don't believe you have addressed this fact or have given an argument why it is not. In the revised lease, instead of section 22.2, right of reversion, you could have affirmed the provisions of this conveyance, i.e., the land above described and conveyed hereby shall be used for public park purposes only and for no other purpose. Instead, you put in a clause to enable you to put development into Isla Blanca. You have not done what was agreed to. By the way, we do have videos of the proceedings. You have again signed a private sweetheart deal with an unqualified developer without public review or input. Unfortunately, this is consistent with how you have done things previously. You do not learn from mistakes. You consistently violate the Open Meetings Act, as is evidenced today. Your actions do not pass a rudimentary government contracting integrity review. Your deceit and misrepresentations in the Isla Blanca affair have only served to awaken me to the litany of mismanagement and blunders of this administration that are driving this county to insolvency while you mortgage off Isla Blanca to private interests for chump change. I will oppose incompetence and mismanagement that are driving us to insolvency with all the tools that democracy affords me. I believe it was President John Adams who stated that for democracy to work, it requires an informed and involved citizenry. I view this as an obligation established by our founding fathers. I will continue to act in accordance with this principle. I am sorry that you have made this an issue. I will not tolerate any attempt to undermine my constitutional rights by any politician. This July, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. Again, you have demonstrated that you cannot be trusted or worked with. Pardon me if I seem outraged. It is because I am outraged, and I'm neither an actor or a politician. Good day.
Would you tell these good people here, Mr. Burst, again, whether or not Isla Blanca is in the lease today?
It's not.
And would you tell these good people again, Mr. Burst, whether or not the developers have the right to come into Isla Blanca Park at their choosing?
Well, let me back up, first address it like he did. The NAV district area, the NAV district deed or grant, the lease is totally out of it. And I can say it, I can show it, I can put it on a map. The lease is totally out of the navigation district grant, period. Now, there is the provision he spoke about, 22.2, or what, I'm not sure it's 22.2, but I know it from memory. And that provision is in the lease in order, first of all, let me back up. You've pronounced something to be legally so that's not so. The mere recital in that deed does not mean that there can never be anything but a park in that grant, in the grant from the NAV district. There are exceptions to that. I'm not going to get into them, but there are exceptions. Now let me finish. I'll let you finish, please. There are exceptions to that in the law. And that's one of the things, the original lease, if you read it, at the very tail end, it said that in order for the developer to develop that lease, which would be in the NAV district, they had to go get a judicial determination that that was a proper use of that property, okay? That's up to a court. It's not just a given. You can't just say, okay, because that has that covenant in there, it can never be used for anything else. Now, that's number one. So even under the original lease.
But that's beside the point. The
No,
question is,
well-
right before you, is Isla Blanca Park or any part of
No.
this navigation district property that was deeded to the county in the lease?
No, there's not.
And there's a suggestion that was made, Mr. Burst, that somehow we gave the developers a right to come back in when they choose to do all this development that we took out of the lease.
That's completely false.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what you said, but I mean, that,
The county's invitation.
The county's invitation is what you said.
well, but you see, that can always happen. That's what I was pointing out last week. Either this commissioner's court or a future commissioner's court can always do the same thing that they did initially, and that is lease out the park, with some exceptions. I'm not going to say it's without exception, okay? But it can be done. And one of the exceptions is the provision that he pointed out in the NAV district lease. That is, in order for a future commissioner's court or this commissioner's court to grant a lease to that property, then they would have to go to court to do it. Now, one of the exceptions is the fact, if you note, the area has already been leased to numerous restaurants out there, the old Jetty's restaurants, the Dolphin Cove Oyster Bar, and I think others. And that's an exception in the law. Once you had open and notorious use of land that would be contra to the reservation in the original grant that he's talking about, that can grant an exception to allow it to be used thereafter. And that's something, again, that was written in the original lease, for the developer was going to have to, I mean, we gave him the lease, but said, there is that provision, you got to go to court and see what it means, whether it means you can or not. All right, but that's no longer, that's moot now, because as the judges asked me, we are totally out of that. That deed that was referenced by the last speaker, that area covered by that grant is out of the lease. And it's not up to, as the judges said, it is not up to the developer. It is only if the commissioner's court or some future commissioner's court in the next 50 years determined that they wanted to lease that property. What this developer said was, we don't want competition in what we're giving up. Why should we give it up if some future court can grant someone else what we have now? And that makes sense to me, and that's fair to them. That's my legal opinion. And so that's why that provision's in there. But it does no more than that. They have no ability, and so this court can each say in front of everybody, if they choose to, that so long as we sit on this court, nobody will set foot on Isla Blanca Park, because they would have to initiate it.
Is that holds true even if gambling becomes legalized?
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
May I comment?
I'm not running this. I'm
Go
just-
ahead,
I'm the
I mean,
attorney.
you know,
Yeah, well, please read, you know, I submitted my comments in writing. Please read and reflect upon it. The right of reversion, how it's readed, does give the option to the county to put development into East LeBlanco. I believe you stated that.
that's
And
not
that-
true. I
and
think
that's-
the
that's
answer,
the
the
issue.
answer is that we have that constitutional right there, regardless of it being in there. Any commissioner's court can do this. We've said that from the beginning. We have said, we have made a personal statement that we're not going to allow Isla Blanca Park to become developed the way it had been proposed. We've said that, we've said that, and we've said that, and we mean that. And all I'm saying is that that issue with respect to being able to develop Isla Blanca Park is not granted under the contract. It is a constitutional right that this commissioner's court has, and any future commissioner court has. In other words, you know, we can all get killed in a plane crash or an explosion of a terrorist, and another set of commissioners court can come in here and they can say, you know what, we think this is a great idea, and we're going to reverse that decision, and it doesn't matter what the contract says. They have a right to do that. All that right of reversion contract said was we made a policy decision as a county commissioner's court that we were not going to develop Isla Blanca Park. And the grounds, that the way we went to these developers, we said, we've changed our minds. We think this is a bad idea, and we want out of this contract. And they said, all right, that's fine, we understand that. But if you ever change your mind, because we have a contract with you, then we should have the right of first refusal on the development. That's all it says. And for you to say that somehow we've lied to you, that somehow we allowed the Isla Blanca to be developed is absolutely, completely wrong. That's why I get so frustrated, because you know that's not what that right of reversion provision says. That has nothing to do with where we're coming from as a commissioner's court on the development. Three of us have made a decision, and we're firm on that decision, and we're not going to change our mind on that decision, that there will be no development on Isla Blanca Park. I don't know how else I can put it for you. And that's what really upsets us, because we've clearly shown you that. We've changed the contract. We threatened the developers with a lawsuit if they didn't agree with it, and this is how we were able to do it. And for you to say that we lied to you is insulting. It's insulting to me, it's insulting to Commissioner Tamayo, and it's insulting to Commissioner Benavides, because we told you what we were going to do, and we did it. And you're just persisting and saying that that's not so. Well, that is so. It is so. It is so. As much as you don't want it to be so, it is so.
I offered a solution in my presentation. To just restate the language in the original lease where no development will be allowed. You put in language that will allow that, not only for yourself, but for future administration. That's the bone of contention. I've offered a solution. You're not listening.
When you become a lawyer for this county commissioner's court, sir, then we will listen to your advice. Right now, our lawyer has recommended how that language should be drafted in order for us to get Isla Blanca Park out of the lease. I trust him more than your judgment, particularly in light of the other things that you said in your statement. But that's besides the point. You have a right to think or say whatever you want to say, but I'm not going to take your opinion as to what a legal contract should say over my commissioner's court counsel, who we depend upon on giving us advice on how we should proceed forward. And I think you were not here last week, but you probably saw it on TV. He said that he got marching orders on what to do, and we did give him the marching orders on what he needed to be done, what needed to be done to get us out of the lease, and he did it. He did it as best as he could, and that's what he came up with. And there is absolutely no question, sir, that Isla Blanca Park is out of the lease. And if you don't want to believe it, and if you want to go out there and do whatever you want to do that is your constitutional right, then so be it. But that's the way it is, and that's what we did, and we did what you asked us to do. And that's it.
Obviously, we disagree, and we'll leave it at that.
That's right.
I'm on record. If things unfold, then it's time for.
We understand you are on
authorities
record.
to look into this matter. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments? 2, presentation of resolution recognizing.
I just want to say, Judge, one thing is that, you know, if we're going to set precedent and responding to public comment, we had never done in the past. We never responded either through legal or whatever until we have an item on our agenda that we treat everyone the same, and if we need to respond in the future to folks that come to this Commissioner's Court, we should, because it helps to at least express the opinions that each one of us has.
Both sides.
Both sides, you know, I mean, we listen to you, and, you know, we hope that, you know, you listen to our opinions and what we think.
And that can be done as long as there's no decision made, as long as it's just comment.
All right. Item number 2, do I hear a motion to table for right now?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. 3, presentation of county kiosk for Dancy Building by Computer Center.
Good afternoon. I'm going to take about a minute to power everything up. This is what we've done at the request of our Human Resources Director, Mr. Manuel Villarreal. We put together a kiosk public information booth. This is the model that's going into the Dancy Building. Our programming staff, they're going to give the demo, take about 5-6 minutes, and they're going to show you the features that they built in. And it's going to be located on the north entrance, right in the entrance, right up front of the planning department. Be available to all the public that comes in, and hopefully it'll provide the necessary information to get around the building and to note the changes that occurred. I'm going to pass this over to Marco, our county webmaster, and our programmer, Mr. Roberto Salazar. He did the program development, and Marco did the website.
Good afternoon, Judge,
And this
Commissioners.
looks just as it did in 1912.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
This has been run through the Texas Historical Commission.
Have we done that?
Get it going here.
Keyboard, where is it going to be?
They're okay with
Oh, no, there's going to be no keyboard. We had to bring in the keyboard in order to log into the system. But the machine itself is just going to stand on its own.
And they
No, exactly.
You touch the
It's going to be a touch screen,
And
exactly.
it's a very expensive machine, right?
Well, what's expensive?
Is there going to be access to children that come into the building?
No, actually, it's pretty durable. Yeah, it'll be all right.
So I
It'll
won't
be-
bring my grandchildren.
It's museum quality.
Okay.
We get the projector going here.
We had it all tested out just before the meeting, so we know it all works. Just trying to get the projector to warm up.
Well, like Rudy said, we were speaking with Mr. Villarreal from the Human Resources Department, and he came up with the idea of having a computer kiosk or information booth for the revisions of the Dancy Building. And as we all know, the county's departments are going to be moving in there on October 17th. Is that correct, Nick? That's correct. We're going to have the opening of the Dancy Building on October 17th. And this will be already installed in the building for that grand opening. Are you ready? I guess not. There we go. And this is the way it's going to look. Again, it's just the machine itself will be standing alone on the first floor of the new Dancy Building. And as you can see, this is going to be this what we call a splash page, or the way it's going to look while it's dormant and not in use. We've taken a picture of the Dancy Building as it stands now, and have some pictures of the county free floating there as anybody comes up to it and starts to gather information. It will be available in both English and Spanish for any bilingual people that need information. So if we can go ahead and go inside the English department, or the English side right there. And this is our welcome site here, having a little paragraph there, 2 paragraphs there about the renovation of the Dancy Building. And as you can see, restoration, excuse me, restoration of the Dancy, of the Dancy building. And we start off with the county judge and the Dancy building as it stood in 1912. And we roll over through the tabs here. We have the pictures of our 4 commissioners and area maps of the area that they cover as far as the precincts that they govern. And then as we get over here, we're going to go into the building map. And as one of the features of the new kiosk machine here is that we're going to have a layout of the buildings, the floor plan, and the departments on which the floors are on. So as you can see, they're color-coded, and there's the first floor right there with human resources and planning. And the buttons down here at the bottom left-hand side are also color-coordinated. If you hit, you know, like the basement right here, you hit the kitchen, it'll show you where the kitchen's at, you know, for the food and stuff like that. The entrances to, if you go back to the first floor, there we go. And you hit the green button over here, it'll show you where the entrances are to the building itself with the arrows popping up and stuff like that. Let's see, second building, we have the office entrances as they pop up. And I think it'll be very useful for the public in general, so they could come in, and if they have, you know, it's a brand new layout, so if they don't know exactly where maybe human resources is and stuff like that, they can go ahead and take a look at the map and find out exactly where it is according to floor and layout. Okay. The second thing that we've added is a building directory, or a directory of the people working for Cameron County and different departments. As you can see, we've added the alphabet down there, so you can scroll down to any letter in the alphabet and see the people that are working, or, you know, in alphabetical order. And it gives basic information, phone numbers, what department they work for, and email addresses. If you need to email someone at a later date, you can go ahead and write it down, and you can email people. The next thing we have is a department headings and stuff. And what we've done there is basically the same thing as a directory, shown basic information as far as names, numbers, communications type thing, but breaking down by department. So maybe you don't know specifically who you need to see, but you do need to know that you need to go to purchasing. So you can look for information through the departments through purchasing. We've added also job openings area here, where people can click and see what the county has to offer as far as job openings. You do know that, you know, as we have it now downstairs, we have the jobs openings posted, you know, like on a billboard and stuff like that. And it's easy to read, and we think that this will take care of the exact same need, but in a kiosk form. The next thing that we've added is a calendar, or an events calendar. And as you can see, what will happen here is that the events for the actual month that you're seeing will scroll at the bottom. So if you're on November or whatnot, you know, you can see that these events are happening in November. And November we're going to be let's see, the holidays in November, of course. So, you know, we're going to have all the county holidays on the events calendar there, so people will know when the county courthouse will be open and closed and that type of thing. Let's see. They can also read the agenda from here. So if they know that there's a commissioner's court meeting on Tuesday, they can click on the certain Tuesday of the month that they need, and the agenda items will come up, and they can read the agenda from here. We also have it tabbed by itself as the agenda. And they can go ahead and read the agenda and see what items are coming up as they walk into the building. And that's pretty much it for now. Now, we do want to say that this is not a closed project. I mean, we've started off with basic information for the new building, right? But we invite the public to go ahead and play with this machine. You use the information that's available now, and also get back to us on suggestions on how to make it better. And that goes for the departments themselves, as far as you know, the people that are going to be using the Dancy building. How does the purchasing department how can the purchasing department benefit from this machine for the public? How the human resources department can benefit from this machine? And we invite all the departments and the public to get back to us at the computer center and give us suggestions on how to make this better. Since all of this is done through our network, we can go ahead and, upgrade it, put new stuff straight onto our network, and it gets pushed through our network onto the machines without actually having to go physically open each machine, change the data, put it back up, and it works really well that way. I know you've seen me taking pictures at groundbreaking ceremonies for different annexes for the county, and we could pretty much put one of these available to each and every annex depending on the county's wishes. I know I've talked to Commissioner Garza's assistant about getting one over at the Levi's building, and so we're going to get that started and get one available just for the Levi building. And again, we invite the public to go ahead and use the information booth and get back to us on how to make it better. And this will be available at the groundbreaking ceremony on October 17th.
I think this is
Thank you.
tremendous. It's extremely impressive. But at this moment, I just ask that you all make my system work. I can't receive email. It's been for days that I have not been able to receive email. It's not working. So, I commend you. This is beautiful, but Manuel, there's the rest of the world in the county.
Another one for the Levi building, and we have another one for the annex at the Honor.
I want my computer to work. I want to be able to get my email.
I'll pass that over to Rudy.
The email issues have been taken care of. The email's working pretty good now.
Stop pointing fingers, Manuel. I'm just telling you that there's, this is tremendous. But we need to take care of phase one before we go into these high phases,
Very
Well, thank you.
Very
All right.
good.
Hear a motion to acknowledge presentation by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Budget amendments, line item transfers and/or salary schedules. Any questions, concerns, comments, complaints? There's none. Motion to table by Commissioner Benavides. Is there a second to the motion to table by Commissioner Garcia? Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Minutes, September 5th, 2006. Motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Benavides. Is there a second to the motion by Commissioner Garcia? Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Claims. Any?
I have a large list of additional claims to read. I provided the county clerk and each of the commissioners a bundle or a copy. They begin with check number 167845 and run through check number 168041. And the reason for this is we had a number of medical claims in our indigent program that had been incurred. The indigent program begins September 1 on the state. Funding doesn't become available until October 1 when the county starts its new year. And so we wanted to make sure that we paid as quick as we could. There is a check number, in deference to the Commissioner of Precinct 3, check number 167943 payable to the medicine shop should be included in his affidavit.
I included it.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that you had that one. And so we request these additional checks payable to medical service providers.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Consideration possible action regarding
Make
status.
sure that I turn in an affidavit on that warrant number.
Status report of West Rail project. Make it quick.
That was a very good report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Actually, we go to the, I think it's the fourth page, the one that says U.S. funding status. We go to the one before, the previous task completed, way at the bottom. We continue to work on the right-of-way acquisition. There's an agenda item on another parcel, and so I think this will be the fourth or fifth parcels out of 21 that we need to acquire, so that's in process. Next page, the significant difference is at the very bottom. The TxDOT rail grade separation funds in the amount of $13 million. That is the funding that we received last week from the Department of Transportation. Judge, I don't know if you want to expand on that.
We got $13 million.
Okay, well that pretty much completes, if you remember, we had a funding gap of a little bit over $13 million. So with this $13 million, we pretty much closed that
And
gap.
for the record, what happened there was that we had this on the agenda for August, and the commissioners and staff had some issues with respect to where Mexico was on this thing, because everything's contingent upon the construction of a rail bridge, and they wanted something in writing that showed a firm commitment by Mexico. So they contacted us, we got them a letter from the mayor of Matamoros and a letter from the governor of Tamaulipas, submitted those letters. They put it back on the agenda for a minute order, and they approved it last week.
On the Mexico accomplishments, at the bottom of the page, they're entering their final engineering and design phase of the project. So that is for the rail lines and for the switch yard. If you all recall, we are designing the entire international bridge. So the engineering and design for them is for the rail line and for the relocation of the switch yard.
Where are they at on the design?
They're negotiating a scope and a fee with their consultant.
No, where are we at on the design of the bridge?
Oh, the bridge, if you turn to the next page, Mexico is been working with the IBWC, both the U.S. and the Mexican sections, as well as the Comisión Nacional de Agua, in order to relocate the levee on the Mexican side. Right now, the distance from the U.S. levee to the
That's
Mexican
not what I
levee.
asked, Pete. What I asked was where we're at on the design of the bridge.
Right, well, I was gonna answer this because it impacts the design.
Relocate the levee before.
Right.
We don't have to design the final.
We won't, we have conceptual design of the bridge, but we can't do the final until the levee relocation on the Mexican side is approved. And so next, on the 16th, there's a meeting in Monterrey with the Comisión Nacional de Aguas. We've gotten the final report that's gonna be submitted to them. So once that's approved, the middle part of October, then the Mexican side can proceed with the design of the levee relocation, and then we can proceed with the design of the entire bridge. So we're probably, 60 days, 90 days at the most from the final design of the international bridge.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you hear a
Move to
motion?
acknowledge.
By Commissioner Garza, is there a second to that motion? By Commissioner Benavides, any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. 8, consideration, discussion of report from Rudy Juarez, Computer Center Director, regarding current firewall and spam filters used on county's email system. Make this quick, Rudy.
Not really sure what we were looking for here, but I went ahead and... Well, what I'm looking for is, every time you open your computer, you can spend 30 minutes deleting junk. That's
for one
the
thing.
issue,
When it's working.
when it's working.
Oh, y'all are getting a lot of junk in.
Junk.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
not only us, but everybody. It
Yeah,
doesn't
what's the deal
matter-
on that?
It doesn't matter who or what department that I've visited with. I expressed a concern because a lot of it could be deemed to be pornographic in nature.
Yes.
And I would not want someone to come into my computer and say, what do you have there?
Exactly.
And make an accusation. As a result of that, I wanted to make sure that we put this on the table, we have some kind of a discussion, and hopefully be able to remedy that situation, because every department, from the district judges to the garage, is having the problem.
That is correct. We're well aware of the problem. What I've got for you is one of the solutions that we're using to address and help manage that situation. The product that we're using is called Ninja Messaging Ninja by Sunbelt. You have some information on there. I'm not going to go into detail, but it's a very robust filtering system. Unfortunately for us, spam is not something that you can just completely eradicate. Spam is pretty much like cockroaches and like ants. I mean, you just can't get rid of them. All you can do is manage it. One of the conferences that I just recently
Cockroaches and
attended.
what?
Ants. Ants, hormigas.
Cat.
No, ants. One of the
Like rabbits.
international conferences that I recently attended in Houston, I come to learn that this is not something unique to Cameron County. It is an industry problem for IT departments.
Okay, but tell us how you're gonna resolve it.
And the way that we're looking at is, this is one of the products that we're using to resolve it. And you've got some data in there to show you how the filtering system is working. But one of the things that we can do proactively, and I'll just cut straight to the chase, is that we need to get more human resources in the data center. We put this on the budget request the last couple of years. It has not gotten funded. Now, here's why. Because this is a
It's the
proactive.
last thing you want, this is the last thing this Commissioners Court want to hear you say.
I understand that.
I'm not sure. It's really not the forum
But
for you to
here's,
do this because
I
you
understand
get
that, and I'm not going to
bit
go into the becauses and whys. All I'm going to say is, this is a proactive response type of situation. This is not a lights out, set this program and walk away and forget it. It requires a human to be in front of the software, fine tuning it, looking for stuff that's coming in, and fine tune the software so it can block it the subsequent time. I spent about 2 weeks analyzing some spam software. It's just me personally. And if you go to the third page, you'll see that it's labeled anti-spam rules breakdown. I added a rule at the very top. It says field header contains RDNS failed. I just put that in last week about Monday. And if you can tell, as soon as it kicked in, 23,281 spams were filtered out right off the bat. And this is information over a 7-day reporting period, which started from last Monday through yesterday. The response that I got back from the users just as of yesterday is that the spam has decreased significantly. But it took that amount of time just to analyze the type of email that's coming through. That's why I'm saying it requires a dedicated person that manages not only the spam, but manages all of our threat management. In absence of that, all we can do is work with the software and work at a little bit at a time. Now, the nice thing about this software is that it gives control to the end user. Each one of you that has an email box, everyone in Cameron County, it provides a function called a blacklist and a whitelist. You start getting all sorts of spam email that you don't like, you just take that, drop it in the blacklist, and you will not receive email from that particular individual again. And the product works, because I too had a lot of problems with it, and I started just dropping it in the blacklist, and boom, I stopped receiving it. I've gone to a very manageable amount of spam, and some spam is going to get through because the filter says, you know what? If this is questionable, I would rather let it go through and let you review it than block it, and could be an important piece of information.
If you've gone through and blacklisted the ones that you're talking about, how come you're one of the top persons who continues to get spam according to...
That's the spam filter
information
working.
You've provided us over here between the 25th of last month and the 2nd of this
That is
month.
correct, because the spam filter is saying, hey, listen, I've blocked all the stuff that you told me to block, but it's still letting me know that I received it. But it blocked it. It never came into my mailbox, but it's mail that was sent addressed to me. And really, the only way that I can cut it out completely for now would be to give myself a new email address, which I can do, but it can become somewhat an inconvenience to departments, but we're willing to do it. You just have to change your correspondence and your business cards, but we can give you a brand new email address. Now, how do you get this in the first place? Here's where the real problem comes. Our network is actually pretty secure. The problem comes that when you give your email to someone else and their network's not secure, or their emailing system is not secured, they in turn start sending email out to everybody on the contact list. If you happen to be on their personal contact list, you're going to get email sent in spam formation. Then what happens is that stuff gets reported back to a central server where hackers like to use that, and they turn around and sell that, and blam, 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 blam. It goes out into the email services. This is not something that we can sit here and say, we're doing this. No. This is something that is as a result of other networks, and including some of our own practices that say, hey, you know what, we were a little careless on where we gave our email address, or we gave it to some sort of subscription list. That got infected, and boom, you just became a target. Filters don't know whether you got good or bad.
Our email list for the county is available publicly everywhere.
And that becomes a vulnerability to us. So all we can do is containment, and we can do management. We have the tools to do it. And where we can't do it centrally, we've extended that out to each and every individual that says, you know what, you decide what you want to accept and what you want to blacklist, and we put the power into the end user.
Well, going through and blacklisting these, as you're talking about, would require a little bit of time for each one of them every day.
Yes.
And when I get 75 to 80 every day, I'm not going to sit in front of it and go through and blacklist them every day.
I understand.
It's just a lot easier to delete it and go on about my business, but the concern still is there.
Yes.
Like Commissioner Garza saying, you know, most of this material is not fit to be read, and some of it's pornographic in nature. And we have a problem with that. I know other companies that are large companies that don't have this kind of problem.
That's correct, sir,
know what
but they
they've
also
done.
have dedicated teams to address this, and I don't have a dedicated team. I have Joe Reyes as my network administrator. He's the only one in a data center. I've mentioned this before. We have gotten too big for the
I know,
staff
but
size and resources
don't wanna
that we
hear
have.
this.
Yeah. That's-
So,
I know what you're
Tell us
saying.
what
you
you
know,
can do.
what I can
Within the
do,
confines of the resources that you have right now, Rudy.
what I have available to me right now is that we have several options. One, we can continue to using a product like this and allow the users to blacklist and
What
filter
else?
at their own level.
What else?
Number two, I can change the email if it's gotten out of hand and just give you a fresh new email and start from scratch.
All they have to
doesn't
do is
benefit anything.
look it up. That's not
Okay, what else?
And the third one would be to invest in other technologies that will,
Well,
attempt to assist and filter
Can you use more
automatically.
of those rule name changes?
Yes,
mean,
I can do that.
If you were able to take care of 23,000,
Yeah.
do that a little bit more often.
And basically, we got this one from the technology that AOL and Roadrunner is using, because that was part of our email problems for the last couple of weeks. They enabled this type of technology, and
We've had email problems with Roadrunner and AOL since, I know of, August the 28th.
that's about 3 to 4 weeks.
So that's 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
Not 2 weeks.
That's
Yes.
been resolved, though.
That's been resolved.
Yeah, I finally got to send
Yep.
mine off to the FCC just the other day.
Yep, all that got resolved.
A month late.
But when companies make changes, and other people just have to go in and follow and adapt to those changes, and that's one of the things we had to do. We had to go and adapt to the change. And there's
Okay.
multiple parties involved, and it's not always as simple as,
Come
let's go
back
do
to us
this.
with what,
Keep working like
yeah.
this,
What,
Okay.
come back to us with whatever electronic software that you think is gonna be able to
All right,
make a
that'll
difference
be
on
the
that.
approach we take.
Okay,
And my
thank you.
concern is personnel. Because it could be me today, it could be any employee of the county with an email address the next day that has a situation come up in which their integrity is compromised because of what they're getting on their computer.
It is
And
a very
everybody's
big
getting
concern.
it.
It is a very
Everybody-
big concern.
Everybody's
Information
getting
on
it.
our email is open to public records.
Yes.
The news media wants to come in
You get
and
it,
see the
Ruth?
kind of emails I get.
Yes.
And they have it on
He
the front
gets it.
page that I'm getting these emails. What am I gonna do about it?
I understand, and it
I
just
use
takes
my
a disgruntled
office
employee
email.
somewhere in the chain
And
that says,
every
look what
time
he's
I
doing over here,
log
and
in
it
every day,
just
I
gets
have
out of hand.
50.
But we will continue to apply the policy base, and
I
we'll work
thought I
on
was
it very
only
hard.
one. I thought that something was wrong with me. They were they got my number and they started sending me everything.
I've got my office clerk cleaning it for me before I even open it.
Okay,
Before I even
motion
go
to
it.
acknowledge report by Commissioner
Second.
Benavides, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Discussion and presentation of county auditor's electronic time and attendance policy. Make it quick.
Okay. In your packet, policy has been, a policy has been delivered to you. Essentially, this is an enactment of a policy based on the equipment the Commissioners Court approved for 5 years ago, the cross time and attendance. We have 1,826 employees, and approximately 25% of them are exempt employees. With exempt employees, we deal with exceptions-only reporting. You tell us that you're out vacation, sick leave, or other. That's all we're asking. Put it on the system, and we're going to, your payroll person will enter in your sick leave, your vacation, or your other time. That's all we're asking. We're not asking for exempt employees to clock in once, say you're there. We just want your information electronically. For non-exempt employees, we want you to clock in and clock out. I see all too often timesheets that show 8 to 5 or 8 to 12, 1 to 5, and they fill them out often ahead of time. Now, for us to be on top of overtime payments and comp time payments, we need contemporaneous information, and that means captured every day. I provided this policy to your legal counsel. He has suggested certain changes. We've made some changes. The only other thing he and I may differ is because when we start with non-exempt employees, we say you have to earn 40 hours a week for non-law enforcement. If you don't earn 40 hours, then we track the difference. We track every difference between what you earn and 40 hours. If you earn over 40 hours, then we either accumulate comp time at time and a half rate, or we pay at comp time at time and a half rate. And so ultimately what we're looking at is rolling this policy out to each department on a department by department basis. And then once that's rolled out, and a number of departments have been using this for a number of years, district clerk, the jail, the peer department, adult probation, tax office, I believe, is using it, a number of other departments. So once we get those rolled out, we're going to implement direct deposit for those departments.
Has the staff responsible for supervising those information, data gathering systems, are they trained already?
A number of them are who are using it. For example, in the engineer's office, they're using it. The bridge system has been trained. Where we have a weakness is in patrol officers. And I'm going to work with our computer tech and the sheriff's department on the dispatch call-in. When they call in 1041, 1042, then the radio system can log them in. And so we're looking to employ that. That way we can give, every time they get a pay stub, then they'll have an accurate balance of their vacation, sick leave, comp time. And then we're going to ask them to verify that each time they get it, and if there's a problem, let's immediately respond and get them back with their information. So that's what we're looking to do.
All right, do you hear a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Garza.
I have a comment. I think, I've been talking to Mark about this for a long time, and I think it's going to be, it's for non-exempt employees. It'll be beneficial, but I think that there needs to be policy involved with it. I think this needs to be put in a policy format, included, approved by you, and put in the policy handbooks, so that later we can find what the policy. I have trouble finding things that aren't centralized and organized later.
We'll work with your legal on codifying it into the personnel policies. That's fine.
No, not me. I'd like to work with Manny.
Okay.
Manny, and secondly,
Mr.
Hand in glove with what he's saying, I'd like to see a policy dealing with how you appeal time, because that's one of the Fair Labor Standards Act issues that'll crop up. Is if he documents in the check that, for instance, a guy has so much overtime or a gal has so much overtime, there needs to be a written appeal process. If they disagree with the check, say 30 days, that'll get us by a Department of Labor claim, a bad faith claim. And so I think there's other policy needs to be written in.
Okay, let's work with them on that.
Second.
Judge, please, I have one question that wasn't very clear. He gave me an opinion, but I want to make sure that we're in the right track. As far as our employees, the commissioner's employees, we got 2 employees. And I know that they're civil service exempt, but are they also exempt on this situation?
If they perform clerical duties, they're most likely not exempt. If they have a professional status, if they are supervising 2 or more.
The 2 employees.
Right.
That we have.
Whether at will or not is a civil service issue. FLSA has a certain level of guidelines on whether they are hourly employee or professional, non-exempt, or exempt employees.
Okay.
And then we'll work with you. If you have a question on job description of any one employee, there is a Department of Labor short list on how to determine whether this person is exempt or not exempt.
Thank you.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 11, consideration possible action regarding granting license to set up a shoe shine station in the lobby of the Cameron County Judicial Annex.
How about 10?
Did I not? I'm sorry, 10, consideration and approval of 90-day extension on the contract for official records with ACS Government Records while awaiting new bids for contract. Do I hear a motion to approve on that?
Judge, I got.
There's a correction. It's for 30 days and the limit of 15,000.
30 days for what? A limit for what?
15,000.
Well, you can, all right, let me.
To comply with the Purchasing Act.
Yeah, you got to comply with the Purchasing Act. If it's 15,000, it's under. The county commissioner's court has a policy at 15,000. The state law is at 25, and he can go 1 month. I think you're currently paying 16, aren't you? Right. And so I mean it's up to the court, but I would think that the motion should be is to authorize a purchase order for 30 days, so it continue. My understanding is the bid's already gone out.
All right, motion?
So moved. Second.
Who made the motion? Motion by
Second.
Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So this is while pending the bid process, right?
Correct.
Right.
Judge, Sheriff Omar Lucio and I want to spice up that fancy kiosk, and we're willing to put up 11 by 14 pictures of ourselves. Help you out.
You notice how they didn't put my picture up there?
In your Speedos or what?
It's me. It's in there? I'm glad you didn't show it. It was good.
11, consideration possible action regarding granting of a license to set up a shoe shine station in the lobby of the Cameron County Judicial Annex.
Judge, we had a request from Mr. Gilberto de la Cruz to set up a shoe shine station inside the lobby of the court, the downstairs in the judicial building. Usually, the direction we look for from the court is to allow us to work with him to develop a license so that we can find out what his requirements are, if there's any electrical requirements, what space he intends to use.
What it's gonna look like.
He's got pictures attached.
Is that him?
The little shoe sign, I think that may.
He's
indeed
got,
be
this
him.
guy's got a stand at the mall, and it looks real nice, huh?
Yeah.
We've done this before.
But
Yeah, we've
we've
tried-
done an ugly one, and that's why we just didn't like it. But this is a real nice, it's
Well,
done.
if we control what it
No,
looks
we
like
did
and
this
so on.
10
and,
years ago.
Do we have to let other people know that, I mean, is there
Can we
any
put it up for bid?
legal?
Well,
do we have to-
we've always just done it as a license. We've had people come in from time to time when we
Maybe I'm
try to
asking
work this
legal
out.
counsel what he thinks.
I apologize.
This is just, this is for a space in the courthouse, and actually, you do need to go out for a
That's
bid.
what I thought, yeah.
Okay, well, you wanna put together one and
Yeah.
for
Just
proposals?
for his edification, that's contrary to the advice that Ms. W. Jeffries has given us for the past 10 years. And I'd rather have his,
Yeah,
as
he's
was
the
pointed
boss.
out.
He's the boss, so we
Did you hear
listen
what
to
I
the
told
boss.
that young man there?
I
right
did.
now?
I was not exchanging my opinion for his.
Okay.
That opinion's worth a whole lot.
I don't, I take it for what it is.
Should this be a request for proposals or bids?
It'll be under, this isn't, since this is leasing a space, it'll be a bid under, no, it'll be an RFP. It'd be under Local Government Code 262, its sequence, I think it is. I mean, 263, not 262.
Well, don't make it so cost prohibitive that it's not worth doing, okay?
We don't, I mean, it can be, provide the space for whatever, but whenever the law clearly says space. When you
Okay.
provide a space,
Okay,
There's
so
a
moved.
motion for proposals.
Second.
Second.
What is it? For what? For
Request for proposals.
RFPs.
Second, any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Any questions, concerns, comments on consent items? 12 through
Table
23?
15, if we could please table that item.
Okay, 12 through
15.
15 and, I'm sorry, 12 through 23 and travel 24.
Did 12 go out for RFPs?
Do we know?
Richard?
I haven't,
Item
I
12.
don't know anything
RFP
about
those
it.
things?
I don't know anything about it.
We've never RFP storage.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, this is renting storage or what?
This is towing.
Oh, for towing, there's a
Storage.
statute, there's a specific
No, no,
statute.
it's for
that the
storage
DA
space.
Yeah, it has that, and I'm not familiar with the DA handles that.
Well, but would they have to abide by the same law? I mean, if he would handle it, why would we have to approve it then?
They have to comply with the purchasing guidelines, but
That's my
they
question.
don't need Commissioners Court specific approval.
So then why are we approving a lease?
And did he go by
So we have to
specific
approve all leases.
guidelines?
I'm not aware.
That's the question.
Well, he's got a representative.
My understanding, okay. I'm not here on that item.
But you're from that office.
But
This is a renewal of agreement, but in the agreement, it stipulates there's supposed to be insurance provided, and we haven't seen that insurance quite yet.
Well, not only that, though, I mean, here we are going through this whole exercise for a shoe shine stand.
Yes.
But yet, we can do something else.
Just
Well, the shoe shine
This
is
is not
leasing
us
of our
giving-
property.
this is lease of our property. In this, on 12.
I know, but it's a
It's
shoe
going
shine
out.
stand,
This
Richard.
is-
Well, it's a different statute,
This is
though.
going
I
out
know,
to provide
but-
I
service
can't
to
give you the
us.
same
I
opinion
know.
under separate statutes. This particular provision there is a special statute other than the normal purchasing statute dealing with towing and storage services of vehicles. And I don't, and the DAs, I'm sure, familiar with that. They've handled this. I have not. I don't know.
The question
I can
is,
look
has he followed these guidelines?
I don't know.
I don't know that for a fact. I know that with regards to forfeiture funds, if this is what is being used to pay for this, then the DA is free to acquire services, but
it goes
as
out
long
through
as they
the
go through the
process.
state purchasing
That's-
county guidelines.
I'm not contesting that. I'm saying, did he go out for the process?
I'm not aware of the process
And
he used.
you keep saying you're not aware.
Well, can
Not
we
either.
table it till next week?
That's what we're wondering.
All right, bring it back next week. Table for next week.
He
Just so
very
we-
well
so
may
the
not.
DA can
We just
explain.
don't know.
Okay, table 12 and 15. Any other questions, concerns on any of the items?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Benavides. The motion is to approve items 13 through 23, table item 12 and 15. 13 through 24, table item 12 and 15.
Is Javier here?
Yes.
Javier Mendez?
I asked him.
On 17, Javier, could you just kind of tell me what's going on?
Yes, Commissioner, that's some property up at the north end, over by the convention center. Anheuser-Busch is wanting to use some property that belongs to us for, to store their, the horses, I forget what the name of it.
Clydesdales.
Clydesdales. And it's for Bike Fest week.
For just one,
For just 1 week.
1 week?
Mhm.
Could be good fertilizer. Sounds good. They're
Okay.
beautiful
Any
horses.
other questions? All right, the motion, who's seconding that motion?
I will.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Motion to go into executive session by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Garza. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We're now in executive session pursuant to VTCA Government Code Section 551.072, 551.071A2, 551.071. Carried. We're now in open session. Item number 26A, possible action on confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning issues relating to possible acquisition of real property for the dancing building renovation project. Motion to acknowledge report of, I guess, property manager, whatever he is.
Richard Walker,
Richard
second.
Motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Gatz. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item number 26, the item on the action on deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of right-of-way for West Rail project. Motion to table, no discussion is had on that. Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 26C, possible action on confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning an agreement with Town of South Padre Island Economic Development Council for a birding center on a manner in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body and the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with the chapter. Motion to acknowledge report of counsel.
So moved.
Motion by
And
Commissioner
proceed
Tamayo.
as discussed in executive session.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 26D, possible action on deliberation regarding real property concerning the request for proposals for property in Cameron County located in Andy Bowie Park, referred to as North Flats. Motion to acknowledge report of Javier Mendez and to proceed as discussed in executive session by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Garza. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 26E, possible action on deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcels 167-I and 167-Roman numeral 1, 167-Roman numeral 2, Primera Road in the precinct number 4 area. Motion to authorize Commissioners Council to go for condemnation on the property.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
Wood, second by Commissioner Gatz. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 26F, possible action on deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcel 11 for right-of-way for the West Rail plan. Motion to authorize the acquisition of the property in question for $36,402.
Which is the appraised value.
Which is appraised value by Commissioner
So moved.
Second.
Tamayo, second by Commissioner Gatz. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 26G, possible action on deliberation regarding the lease of land for the right-of-way of East Mountain property owned by Cameron County at the Free Trade Bridge. Motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
Wood, second by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We're adjourned.